Hey y'all, we are back with a new video. I apologize for not being here yesterday. I don't know what I was thinking. Let me know where you guys are coming in from when you get here. Say hi to everyone. Let me get my. I'm gonna have enough. We are gonna be doing finger painting. Yes, you heard me right. We can finger paint with resin. Let me get this set up because I'm using the smaller canvas just to give you an idea. And this is an example of a canvas that I used in the past. I'm going to reuse. And all I did is I propped it up on these little cups, y'all. So it is not sitting directly on my pad. That way resin can flow easily down and off the sides without an issue. So first things first, let's get some resin started. I'm using regular resin. I'm not using a fast cure or anything like that. I'm just using a 1v1 resin to do this. And I want to show you guys a huge trick. Hey, Linda. Glad you're here. We're going to be using paste today. And I'll tell you why in a minute. We have white. We have gray. We have this beautiful turquoise. Let me just turn it all up so you can see the colors that we're working with. And I don't know about this yet. I got to check on it, but we may incorporate that as well. We'll see. All right. I don't want all these running to the bottom, so we're going to set them up. We're going to get our resin started. First things first. Got to put our gloves on. Are y'all doing anything fun this weekend? Whew. It is still hot here. I don't know about y'all, but I am so ready for fall. I am over this heat. It's crazy. Crazy heat. All right. Gloves on. What is our next mandatory item? Y'all know, baby wipes. Because when I get our baby wipes out, when I pour my resin, I want to have a wipe to wipe the top of my bottle off because I don't want it to have resin on it, so next time I use it, the lid doesn't want to come up so easy. So I always wipe the top of my resin off. And today we're going to use Peacock. I love this. Peacock and Let's Resin are my go-to. And this is a pre-measured cup. And I've already verified that it's legit because I poured water in and then weighed it to make sure that it's accurate. And it is. So if you get these pre-measured cups offline, just take one out and put some water in and measure and make sure that it's correct. Because we found some of these were not correct and it was throwing off the resin and it wouldn't cure. So put an A in. I'm going to do 6, so 3 of A. Put that back on and I just wiped it off. And we'll do 3. Y'all. Dagnabbit. This is what I mean. There we go. Lord have mercy. We have Wheaties to open resin. We're taking it up to 6. That'll be 3 of A, 3 of B. We have our 6. And y'all, it's not going to take 6. I'm pouring it anyway, just so I have it in case. All right, so resin's there. And what do I want to mix our colors in? That is a good question. Wow. I need to get some more little cups, don't I? All right, we'll figure that out once we get this mixed up. So, y'all, I want you to see this. Okay? Can you see the streaking in that? This is what I say when I mean jellyfish and streaks. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to mix this. I'm going to scrape my sides. I'm going to scrape my utensil down until all of this is clear. And I'm going to scrape my utensil like this at least twice. I usually try to do it at least 3 times. And then when it comes down the side of the cup, I go just the very tip of my tool and scrape that back down into the resin so it all gets incorporated and clean. Because I don't want any weak spots in my resin, or we're going to have areas on our canvas that are not going to cure. They're going to always stay sticky or soft. One reason I like Teaksburg or T-Expert, however you want to say it, I say Teaksburg, is because, well, it's a good quality resin. It's not expensive. It's great at releasing bubbles. And it's a little thicker than Let's Resin. So when I do canvas work, I really like this. This resin is cold, believe it or not. So I'm going to scrape my utensil down again. And I make sure I get all of that off there. Again, just the tip of my spoon so I know my mixing utensil. What do you call that? A spatula? What do y'all call them? I don't know. In the meantime, I'm going to let it sit. Because, see that? It's clear. You can see clearly through that. There's no streaking. There's no jellyfish, anything. It's perfectly clear. So it's good. I'm going to set it to the side and let it sit while I get my cups ready for my resin. And y'all, I think I've got to order more bathroom cups. Something come out, believe it or not. That's a shock. That's okay. We'll just use these little cocktail glasses. So let's just do gray, white, and a teal. And you know what? Let's take gray out. We're just going to use white and this teal, and I'm going to use this white 2 ways. And I'm going to show you how you can add depth to your piece by just using this white 2 different ways. And then we're going to use this beautiful, almost Tiffany blue color. Gorgeous. And this is by Color Passion. I'll link everything I'm using in the description. So if you want to grab some, you can. So I still need the 3 cups. All right. So I'm going to pour this out into 3. And like I said, I know I'm not going to need a lot of resin for this. All right. And I'm leaving some clear, and there's a trick for this why I'm leaving it. Let's get our mixing sticks that are hiding. All right. That to the side. Oh, it opened. I was going to say, now that's it. That's the challenge, is opening these pastes. And y'all hear me talk about this all the time, about leaving some of your foil, if it comes with the foil on, about leaving half of it covered so you can wipe your stick. Now with paste, I tell you, make sure you're stirring it because you want to make sure everything is mixed and combined, because sometimes when it sits, it can separate, and you want to make sure that you're getting a good paste. All right, so this is a good amount. This is going to be a good solid white, and I'm going to mix that in here. I'm going to close this paste back. There we go. Then I'm going to mix up my teal. Y'all, this color is beautiful. Oh, I haven't even opened this yet. Look at that. One I haven't even opened. That's exciting. What do I want to use? All right. A little scissors, but I'm going to use my little spoon, or my spoon. Y'all, I am struggling with words today. All right, now this is what I mean. Let me open this. I don't want to stick that there yet. I'm tearing half of this off, just a little bit, so I can get my mixing stick down in there. Then I'm going to take my wipe and clean off that in there. Clean off my glove. I don't want to get my fingers all in there just yet. So I'll wipe that down, set it to the side, take my stick, and I want to make sure that I'm mixing all of this together. And now, this is what I wanted you to see. This is why I leave half of this. So instead of wiping on the side of the jar that will make my lid get stuck later, I can wipe my stick on this part here, and it's not going to interfere with my jar closing. But there we go. Put that down there. Close this back. Again, Color Passion, and it is called Peacock Green Shimmer. Like I said, I'll make sure that I link everything for you guys, and I want you to see how gorgeous this color is. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Crazy. I love that. So I'm going to let that sit. And I'm going to do my white. And this is going to be a super solid white. And then I'm going to show you a trick. All right. I'm going to drizzle some of that into that resin. Woo. Yikes. Forgot I had my stick already. That's all right. We're going to wipe it down. In fact, I'm just going to use a different stick. And we're going to make this like a 2% milk. A milky little white. See that? And I want you to see the difference. See them side by side? This is going to add some depth to our piece. Now, I tell y'all, always, the hardest part of doing resin art is getting all the prep work done, right? So let's talk about a few things. One, I want to make sure that number one, get these out of the way. Move that. What I tell y'all, handy dandy level, you want to make sure that your canvas is level before you start pouring, because if it's not level, your resin's going to flow to one side or the other, depending where it's out of level. This is level, so we're ready and good to go. Now, you see I'm using a canvas I've already worked on. That's fine. We can pour over the canvas. And I do this often if I'm testing a new technique or I'm trying something that I haven't done before. So I can get a feel for whether I like it, I don't like it, if it needs a little more of this, a little less of that. I can do it on an older piece that may be in my misfit pile that didn't turn out the way I wanted and just re-pour over it as a test. So that's a way you can utilize pieces that you're not satisfied with and still get good use out of them. Now, let me find, there it is. A handy dandy torch, because we can use this since we're using the canvas and not silicone. Remember what I tell you guys, no fire if you're using silicone mold, because you meld the mold to your project and the only way to get it out is to rip it. We don't want to do that. Okay, so before we start pouring designs, I want to talk to you about something I said I had a huge tip on. And that is, you know, we have our heat gun that we use to move resin around, create designs, things like that, right? Let me get mine where I can get to it. So we have our heat gun. And sometimes we want to move resin to create a design and things like that. Well, I'm going to show you how you can make your resin move easier to get a design you want, and how if you're doing a geode, you can keep your resin where you want it to stay. So here's the tip. If you want your resin to move with your heat gun, pour clear resin down first. Okay? So that way your resin that you put on the canvas has something to move in when you're using your heat gun, right? It's going to blow around easier to give you the design you're after. And I'll just show you a little sample now. So let's just pour a little green or turquoise, whatever you want to call it. We're going to put our white down, and then we're going to use some of this, like 2%, and you'll see when it flows over that white, it's going to give it a different layer. Now, I'm going to use my heat gun. See how it moves easier because it's in resin? Okay, so it has that base to move around and play in. Now, you can also tilt your canvas, and look, you get like a wave like action there. That's super cool. And you see some of it. Where's my heat? Now, let me tell you, when you use your heat gun and you apply, you can see some of this starting to swell up, because the white paste I'm using has a, all right there. So you can see cells are starting to form. And that's because the paste I'm using has an additive in it that allows your resin to sell out. Okay. Now I want to show you the difference in just pouring the resin directly on the canvas. And I want you to see how hard it is. It's not going to move as easy. Oh, butterfingers. All right. So I'm going to move all this out of the way. There we go. Now we're going to take the heat gun again, and I want you to see. It doesn't move as easy as the other did because it's not laying on resin. See where I laid these together? Now look at this white. It doesn't want to move so easy unless it's in this resin. Okay? So if I want resin to stay where I'm putting it, put it without a resin layer underneath. That's great for your geodes. If you want it to move and have the drama, like these waves and all, you want to put a resin layer down first. Now we're going to get into the fun finger paint that I said we can do. And I'm just going to add some more. And I'm probably going to have some left over, and that's fine because I'll just pour it. I keep little molds and stuff laying around for any leftover resin that I might have. So we're just going to add some white, and we'll add some more of the 2% milk that brings out that shadow. And I'm going to show you. I'm about to get dirty. Well, let me show you this too. And if you want to thin out an area, add some clear resin over top. That's going to give you a different design too. So there's a lot of different ways you can create. Now, I'm just going to move this around. And I don't want to muddy up the design too much. So that's another thing to be careful of. See how we're creating little waves and textures and designs, and I'm going to change gloves. Excuse me. Let's put on a new glove because I want to show you all the ways, right? All right. Ooh. Y'all. Glove doesn't want to go on. Good thing I'm not a surgeon, right? Okay. Now I want to show you because a lot of people ask about waves too. So I want to talk about that as well while we're here. And we have our two whites and our clear. To make a wave, drop a clear line first. Okay. And then you're going to drop your white along that clear line. And I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to add this milky white as well. And then I'm going to take my heat gun you just want to move in little circles. See how we created that wave? No, really, that's all it is putting clear resin down first so your white has something to move in when you're blowing it with your heat gun. That's the biggest thing, and move in little tiny circles with your heat gun. And you keep doing that until you get the wave the way you want it. I am a huge fan of tilting my canvas to stretch things out. Now it looks like we have a wave that's crashing back on the shore, right? And then we can take our heat to create those cells that are so beautiful. See, it starts selling up. It creates that foamy look for our wave. And that's really the trick, y'all. That's it. Now, this is the thing you need to be mindful of. You need to add a little more there on the corner. That's fine. If you're using a heat gun and you're using your torch, when you add heat to resin, you're thinning it out. What does that mean? It means your resin is going to run more. If you don't thin it, your resin's going to stay where you put it. Okay? If you want certain areas to move faster, add a little of a torch or a heat gun. That will help thin it out and help your resin move faster. So if you don't like this part and you want it to run off the canvas more, heat this area up and tilt it that way, and that part's going to flow off your canvas. But be very careful, because if you thin it too much, and I know y'all see questions about the little divots in what we call fish eyes being in art canvases like this, that's because the resin thinned too much and resin shrinks as it cures. So it's going to leave these little divots, these little holes, which you'll often hear us refer to as fish eyes. That's why that happens. There's not enough resin on the canvas, or it got thinned too much that as resin settles, because it's going to spread and settle to 1/8 of an inch. That's just automatic. That's the nature of resin. It's going to spread itself out over time, and it's going to level out to about 1/8 of an inch. So make sure that you add enough resin to allow for that spread and for the shrink as it cures. That is a very huge pro tip that a lot of people ask about. Now, let's do one more wave. Let's do one out here. Okay, so I'll put my clear down. Now I'm going to add my white. And I take it, start off the canvas and go across, so it's evenly there. And I don't have a glob at the end of just one side, and that didn't go very well. So let's try again. All right, so there we have that. Now I'm going to take my heat gun, I'm putting it on high, and I'm going to move in circles. And if we want just a white line there, maybe there's a little one up here that's just hanging out. And I'm just going to leave that, since it's already on resin, it's going to move the way I want it. There we go. And once again, I can tilt it and turn it this way. So there we go. And then I'm going to take my gloved hand and I'm going to rub around, and I'm going to pick some up that's dripped on my puppy pad and smooth around the sides. So there you go. Just pick some up, rub the sides. That will allow your resin to flow down more evenly. And that's it, y'all. Finger painting with resin. Did you believe it when I put that out there? Did you believe it was possible? Throwing my gloves away because I made a mess. I always keep my handy dandy trash bag next to my art station, so I can clean it all up like that, and we're done. Did that help, y'all? Did that help answer any questions that you may have had? I hope you really learned something from this. It is so fun. Just give yourself the freedom to experiment. Just get your fingers in there and move it around, draw little things, or draw like one shape through it, and let resin do its own thing. Resin is beautiful, and its own little creations and reactions are amazing. We love it. I hope you learned a little bit about your waving and a little bit about the difference of adding a resin base, pouring color without that base. Good, Linda. I hope you try some of these techniques because it really is fun. Resin is supposed to be fun. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect and get everything right and not mess up. We need to stop doing that. It's okay just to experiment and have fun. And just sit down like you were when you were a kid, finger painting. Just throw some colors on there and wave it through. Just be careful not to muddy and marry it all together. And if you do, you can always just pour something else over. It's okay. But y'all, that's all I have for this one. I'm sorry that I wasn't here yesterday. I really hope that you enjoy this. And I am choosing that members winner today. It'll be up and announced on the page. You have to look under the comment section. I'll post it there, and I'll probably do a short and upload that tonight so we all know who's going to be deciding what is the next thing we're working on. If you click the join button and become a member, your name will get entered into the wheel of fun, and we're going to spin to win, and I'll announce it later tonight. So if you're a member, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Your help really helps us continue because I'm not sponsored. Everything I use comes out of my pocket. So every little bit helps. Again, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I can't wait to see what y'all do with these fun techniques. Anyway, do all the YouTubey things. Give us a like. Subscribe if you haven't. That doesn't cost anything. And it helps others find us and find the answers that they may have been looking for. Until next time, y'all, happy arting. Ta-ta for now.